Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us for this 25-minute webinar about insurance marketing plans for the new year, how to keep it simple and achievable. You've all heard of KISS. We call it KISSA, keep it simple and achievable. I think you'll find this enlightening and informative and hopefully very concise for you. My name is Alan Bloom. I'm the founder of Startup Selling. I'm an author. I've written 2 books, as you can see on your screen, Sell More and Work Less, and also Your Virtual Success. I was on the Inc. 500 list 2 consecutive years. That was back when it was actually only 500 companies. Now they have an Inc. 5,000. And I created something called the Prospect Scorecards. I do a lot with sales and marketing related activities, and it's to help agency producers and brokers better prospect and score their leads. And that's a free spreadsheet application that's available on the website. And I consider myself, and many of our clients do, an insurance web marketing expert, as hopefully I'll prove during this webinar. Also on the call today is John Scranton. John was formerly with a top 100 agency. He's a licensed insurance agent. He is a co-author of Sell More and Work Less. He's authored over 1,000 insurance marketing blogs. If you can come up with an insurance marketing topic, he will have a blog to answer your question. And he has been doing a lot of insurance marketing and lead generation over the last decade or so. So let's jump right in and talk a little bit today about what we're going to review. Keeping it simple and achievable. It sounds really easy, but actually there's some nuance to that. Let's discuss that. First of all, you need to balance several different factors when you're thinking about this. One is time, one is budget, one is the likelihood of completion, and lastly, what's in it for you? What's the impact of all these things? So let's take a few examples. Let's say you want to improve your LinkedIn company profile, your LinkedIn company page. It wouldn't take a lot of time. It shouldn't take a lot of budget. You might be able to do it yourself. If not, it's a really inexpensive outsource. The likelihood of completion is extremely high, and there will be some impact, but it's not going to be driving in hundreds of leads, surely. But that's a great example of analyzing a simple component. Another component would be, I want a lead generation program. I want to drive 40 leads a month into my agency. Now, you have to determine how much time will it take, how much budget will it take, what's the likelihood of completion. We know that will have a big impact, but you also have to determine how am I going to drive those leads in. So we're going to talk about that. The second key point is you should separate marketing from lead generation. Even though lead generation is a subcomponent of marketing, especially for small to medium-sized agencies. That means, agencies that are not $100 million in revenues. For most of the agencies we deal with, lead generation and marketing, we tell people, we advise people, break them into 2 different areas, because lead generation will have a great impact on a smaller agency. It will have an impact on any agency. And marketing should be perceived more as the things you do to make yourself look good and close more. Then take things as a big 3 or a big 5. What are your top 3 lead initiatives that you want to work on? What are your top 3 marketing initiatives that you want to work on? And work backwards. Set your goals and work backwards to what has to be done. Lastly, this is our credo: implement, measure, refine. Implement, measure, refine. You must measure so that you can refine and improve. What gets measured has a much greater likelihood of getting done and getting done correctly. So, lead generation and planning. Start with your goals. Now, it might be based on niche marketing, what lines of business are you going after. It might be based on the number of producers you have. It might be based on the newer producers that you have, because they have a smaller book and they need to grow their book more than perhaps a senior producer who is a little more concerned with renewals, predicated upon how your agency is set up. You could be the main rainmaker for your agency. We've seen people who have a $2 million book of business and they're mainly doing it on their own. So number 1, what are your lead generation goals? That means I want X number of appointments per month or per producer. And you should be applying your metrics to that. If I have 10 good appointments per month per producer, and 5 of those or 4 of those are proposed upon, and I have a 25% close ratio, I'll have 12 to 15 new accounts per year. So you want to determine the goals, then measure what's my show rate, what's my proposal rate, what's my close rate, and to make sure that is operating at optimum efficiency, you want to have a highly refined appointment setting lead handling process. A lot of words saying you're organized about your leads. Joe is, as a producer, I'm having 5 hours of telemarketing done, appointment setting done per week. He's a trucking, he deals in our trucking vertical. He currently only has a book of $200,000 a year of business. We're trying to triple that to $600,000 a year of business, and we want to do that in the next 12 months or 18 months or whatever it is. Now, we're going to get him 10 appointments per month with those hours. We expect 4 will go into the pipeline, 3 will be proposed, he'll close 1. Track, measure, refine, monthly is best. Close the loop if possible. And if you can break down things between a 12-month trailing and a historical perspective, if you have metrics that go back that far, I know I do for my business, you could say my historical close ratio is 25%, but the last 12 months I've closed 32% of all clients proposed. So you can see if you're improving, flat, or declining. So now that we've established the lead generation, we want to do lead generation, for example, here's how many leads we want, here's our lead handling process, or you get help in accomplishing those. We should do our planning. And I'm operating on the assumption that almost everyone on the call today, not everybody, but almost everyone on the call today, and we have a large audience today, is probably interested in doing some type of lead generation for their agency. So the first thing is, 1, do I have a prospect list? Is it comprehensive? How many emails are in that prospect list? Does it cover everyone I want to cover? Is it for my current state that I'm selling into? Am I expanding beyond my current county, state, region, etc.? Then you need to determine what lead generation initiatives are the most likely to be successful and achievable. I'll give you an example. We want to have a robust social media marketing campaign to drive leads. Well, it's very easy to accomplish a robust social media marketing campaign. However, getting achievable lead results can be very challenging with social media. There's much more effective and faster ways to bring leads into an agency, which we'll talk about. So think about that. And as you're thinking about what can I do that would be successful and achievable, what can be done internally versus outsourced? And what budget do I have to allocate toward those? If it's internally, you have to, at a minimum, you have to allocate time and resources. If it's also outsourced, much less time and resources, but you have to allocate, obviously, cash. And how much do you need to do to get an ROI going? And are you tracking that ROI? So always be thinking, implement, refine, measure, and determine what type of ROI I hope to achieve. So in this, you want to now select your lead generation initiatives, keeping it simple and achievable. So we have these essentially ordered in a way that we think are most likely for your success, for your agency, if you want lead generation, if you want in-profile, dedicated leads that are only going to you. In other words, you're not buying a lead that's going to 5 agencies or something. This is a lead that's set up specifically for you. We find in many niches, in many verticals for agencies, that appointment setting initiatives can often yield the fastest path, the best path to leads, which is kind of surprising because it's a little bit of an older iteration of lead generation, but especially for trucking, potentially for construction, manufacturing, sometimes for benefits, especially for smaller group benefits. It could be a very fast path if you have a good list to bring in leads. The problem that agencies have internally in staffing up for that is it usually takes 3 good telemarketers to get 1 very good telemarketer, or at least 3 telemarketers to get a good telemarketer. And 2, It's like running a factory. How many calls per hour? Are the calls good? Is the pitch refined? Is the lead handling process in place? So there's an engine that you have to create. That is one of the ways that's a fast path to leads. Email marketing is also a fast or faster path to leads. It's especially powerful if it's integrated with something like appointment setting calls, that calls are being done after your e-marketing campaigns. So we'd say those two things are probably the top areas of KISA, keeping it simple and achievable. Arguably, e-marketing isn't simple, but it can be made simple if you have the resources available. Third, webinar marketing. Showcase your expertise or your partner's expertise, combine it with email marketing. It can also be very good. Further down, social media marketing. Yes, it's achievable. However, from a lead generation centric standpoint, it can be challenging. Lastly, SEO and PPC. Well, that sort of says if I already have a good website, I should entertain SEO and PPC. They're a longer path to leads, especially organic SEO. Pay-per-click can be a faster path to leads, but it can be very expensive. It's personal lines and very small business oriented. It is not for commercial accounts. You're not going to find a lot of people who have 50 employees and looking for a benefits plan, or 100 employees, or they have 25 power units who are clicking through ads to find somebody to work with. It's the opposite. People are going after them and bringing the message to them. Side note, remember, you need digital collateral for all of these. So if you're doing appointment setting, you should have something that you can send to that prospect. Email marketing, it's a must, whether it be a blog, an article, a white paper, a webinar, etc. Social media marketing, you need things to post. And with SEO, you, of course, and PPC, you want to have a great website. So strategically, that's the kind of general discussion about keeping it simple and achievable and lead generation versus marketing. Now we're going to ask John Scranton, who is in the trenches as somebody who specializes in biz dev. We're going to ask him if he can comment tactically on what you need to do to accomplish